What's up, everybody? I am Sam, aka Sam the Hype Beast, and my content is Amina, Nefertiti, Nandi, Makita, the Queen of Sheba. That means my content is queen.
You should know that you can't win with just the king on the board. Content is queen. Listen, you'll see.
Hello, and welcome to Content is Queen. Today, y'all, I have a treat. Not only do I have my sister with me, who I've worked with for over 10 years in the radio biz, the music biz, but I have a friend who always makes me laugh, takes amazing pictures, the one, the only, Sam, the Hype Beast. Welcome to Content is Queen.
Thank you. My round of applause.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank
you
you so much for having me.
You know, I had to have you on here because you bring such a diverse mix to your social media platforms. You in person, I literally find out about new artists and creatives just by following you on your feed. Aww. And who knew that your sneaker game was so sick? I'm looking in my closet like, oh my God, I'm very unstylish right now. I'm like, she got these, I need to run to the store. But I want to learn about you. What even came to your mind? I love the name Sam the Hype Beast. Can you talk a little bit about where that came from?
Yeah, so it's actually, it's an inside joke to myself. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but it's still going to be a semi-long story. You know, in current culture, like the hype beast is like this over, everything is like, it's so hyped up. It's like, oh, I've got to jump on this bandwagon. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And anyone who knows me knows I'm literally like the antithesis of a hype beast. Like, I'm not really that, but at the same token, I am still like, I'm the hypest, I'm the livest. Like, I really am, and I'm not, and in the traditional sense. But I also, you know, gravitated to the moniker because it's like, you know, where I am in my career, and just kind of where I was in terms of like this persona that I wanted to make sure I was creating on social media platforms. I wanted to make sure that I was able to have dialogue and conversation to people that would be open to receiving it, right? You know, I understand, or rather I understood that I'm from an older generation, but at the same token, like, I'm still the freshest, I'm still the flyest. And it's like, and you know, when you want to have conversations with different generations, you can't talk at them, you have to talk with them and to them. And that moniker really was birthed out of almost like that desire, unbeknownst to me at that time, because it was like, I really wanted to make sure that what I was choosing was going to be something that represented me, but then also is like the polar opposite of what I am. But it brings people in, because then they're like, oh yeah, they'll look at the page, they'll look at the content, and they're like, nah, you really are hype. But then when they understand who I am, they're like, okay, you don't follow the trends, like, you really are that, you know? So that's kind of where the name came from.
You are the trend. Let me say that for you. You are the trend. I love that. You know, you started out in radio, and now you are a big time executive in the music industry, you know, working with some of the biggest names on Billboard and beyond. How did that radio career prepare you for what you're doing now?
You know, the radio career honestly is the reason why I have been able to excel in this field, because obviously what I do now, I am the head of urban promo. I run radio department for RCA Records, and running radio is, I understand what radio is because I worked in it. I was on air, I was assistant music director. I understood what radio meant to a community with regards to the music, with regards to the programming that's put on the air. So when it came time to transition to a label, I'm able to have like these conversations with radio and really understand the nuances, the value, understand some of the challenges. You know, I understand what a clock looks like. I understand that, you know, radio, if we're talking streaming, a streaming platform can always create a new playlist, or they can always add another song to a playlist. Radio can't add another hour to the day. There's only 24 hours in a day. And if we're programming with 24 hours, then you have to understand the mechanics behind why radio does what they do, how they do what they do, and what's their ultimate goal. And I think, to me, radio helped me become a really good executive, in the sense of I'm able to really understand the challenges, but still deliver the content for them to be able to put on their station so they could increase their listenership, and I can get my #1 records.
Listen, drop the mic, walk off. I love, I love it. So, do you consider yourself a content creator yourself?
You know what's funny? I don't, but others do. And I say that because, to me, my biggest thing is, and this is how I grew up, content was never curated from a corner office. It was always lived. So I live what I put out. So to me, I don't feel like as though I'm creating content. I'm just living, but documenting the life elements that are happening around me, whether it is the sneakers, whether it is the art, whether it is the concerts and the shows, whether it's me going hiking. I'm living that, but it is just turning into some content that people are enjoying. So in my mind, I don't think that I'm creating content. I'm just living, which is what culture really has always been about. But others feel like I create content.
Well, I will say that you are an amazing content creator because it's entertaining. And you're right, it has to be authentic to you. So you're not going to come to your page and say, oh, that's another person, or you're trying, this is, related to you. And I come across influencers or people who want to become the quote unquote influencers across social media. And the recommendation I always have is do you very well, right?
Yep.
And not try to be something else. You can't be Kim Kardashian. You can't
Yep.
be, someone else. Like, when you show up, are you being authentic to yourself?
Yep.
How do you decide what goes on social media and what does not go on social media?
I think for me, it's more my spirit of discernment, right? Because not everything personal requires to be posted on social media. But I do think that as much as we always feel like we may be the only person experiencing anything, no matter what it is, good, bad, and or indifferent, there are always others that are experiencing the same thing. And I do think that oftentimes we have to acknowledge the fact that these platforms, especially, like, none of my pages are private, so they're public. Anybody could take a look at my page. So with that, I try to be very responsible with what I am putting up, because it's always something that I'm fine with living with, right? It's always something that it's like, okay, if I post it and it's from me, I'm always fine if somebody digs it up 20 years down the line. But I will always respect others. If I'm in a personal space, I'm not going to put something where you're not comfortable with that content. And I think it's about just understanding what is ultimately the goal. Like, what am I trying to say? It doesn't, even if you're just being cheeky, if you're being funny, if you're being whatever, what is the ultimate goal that you're trying to say? And for me, I always approach it as I am going to completely be different. I'm going to completely go the opposite end. If everybody, because we've got enough trolls, we've got enough, you've got enough negativity, you've just got enough of stuff that's so detrimental to the human mind, that my goal is to offer the alternative. You've obviously followed my stuff. So you've seen when I go camping, and I'll have people hit me on the side and they're like, yo, you're the flyest. I never thought that you would go camping. And when we camp, oh, this ain't glamping, y'all. Okay. We pitch a tent. We're sleeping in sleeping bags. We're cooking outside, but it's about connecting with nature. And it goes to show, like, you can be all of these things and still be who you are, because all of those things are who you are. When I go to the museums and I'm deeply engrossed in whatever art I'm looking at, or whatever artist I'm following at that time, all of those things allow me to be that voice of, hey, you can still be this Black woman who isn't out in the club smoking a hookah. Like, you can actually like anime. I read nothing but mangas because I love mangas. Like, I just love Japanese culture. So I love manga. I love anime. You know, and those are the things where it's like you can be all of these all-encompassing elements about yourself and share that. And it allows for people to be like, you know what? I can get behind that. And I've had people, you know, on the side just say, wow, I didn't know that you were so into this. And because of you or because of whatever you posted, like, I'm fine with accepting that I do like this weirdo stuff that's on this side that people may not accept, you know, as the cultural norm. So that to me is always my goal, just to offer an alternative and to still make it look fly.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I know that you said I'm not a content creator, but I'm gonna put another title on you, because
Okay.
an educator, right? Because to a certain degree, you're educating people about the artwork that you're looking at,
Yep.
camping, identifying new experiences that you
Yep.
just want to share. What goes into you know, as you're, and I know you're not a content creator, so I'm trying not to put you
Yeah,
in
no,
that frame.
but I accept that. I do accept that with regards to, I acknowledge the fact that I do create content. I do accept that. So yeah, you could say it.
Yeah, I can say, okay, perfect, perfect. So as a content creator, and you know, hearing you talk about your new experiences, people are learning from you. I know
Mhm.
I found 2 artists that I started following because of something that you posted. And I don't know if you
Mm.
see behind me, I'm a collector, so I have like stuff,
Yes.
and I'm always looking to support Black artists. Why is it so important for you to share your experiences? You know, what is it about it that makes you, you know, post whatever it is on your feed?
Because if there's one thing that annoys me is I it grinds my gears when I see somebody post something absolutely amazing and the caption is like complete. So now the caption is nothing. No context, no, even if I'm discovering it, now I have to go into the comments and I'm like, okay, well, who's the artist or who's the song or who's the this? And it's like you end up going in this rabbit hole. And for me, I always try to look at it like, if I'm seeing something for the very first time, what would I like to get? What information would I like to get out of it? And or what information would attract me to why that person posted that. That's why I kind of, if it is something that's art filled, I try to go a little in depth about the artist, the history, why I'm even acknowledging it, or why it's moving me, what I'm getting out of it. And I don't like everything that I've posted, but I do appreciate the art behind it. And to me, I think that it's just so important to offer information. We have a tendency to and I see it all the time. I'll see like people post things, and even if it's positive or what have you, they'll be like, oh, you know, shout out to this Black king for getting this scholarship. And I'm like, okay, what's the kid's name? It's just as simple as that. And you're just like, what's the person's name, or what's their at, or what, like, Scott, it's like the headlines are amazing, but then when you get to the body of, and I get it, not everybody reads, but you know what? The majority of us do. And the majority of us do want to get information, but it's just never readily available. So I always, if nothing else, I'm like, if I'm posting something about my sneakers or the shoes, I'll give you the reason why I think they're fresh as all get out. Like, I'll tell you, it's not just the fact that it's a shoe that I'm like, oh, this is a great shoe. No, it's the silhouette, it's the textures, it's the materials that were used, it's the colors, it's the reason, you know, the history of the original silhouette, why they did the collaborate. Like, those things are the things that move me. And to me, I think that if I offer that, that would help somebody understand a little bit more about why I'm posting that content.
You know, you're blowing my mind right now, because and let me tell you why. Because you know, when we work with clients, they're like, we need something to go viral. I was like, I hate when clients say that, because
Mhm.
that's not the goal. The goal is
It's
to
not.
show up, to be authentic, because that's what you're doing. You're authentically showing up as Sam, right?
Yep.
2, you are giving people information, educating them, giving them context of why you posted this context. So that's the
Yep.
second part. Like, don't just post stuff and just walk away. Give them something. Tell them why. Break it down. And, don't try that shock and awe stuff. I guess if that's the lane you want to be in, so be it. But there isn't the formula isn't like some type of, mechanical piece. It's really about showing up authentically as yourself and really double downing on that. So I love that you kind of painted a picture, for me at least, that shows social media influence that is directly tied to being just a normal human being. You don't have to have this outlandish persona to get people to follow you. So I really love that you're like a face to what I've been trying to say. So everyone, please find her on social media. I'm gonna have it up on the screen so you can follow her. So this is a representation. Sam is a representation of what a true content creator is. So I want you to give some tips, not tips, but inspirational messages for individuals who want to do better at social media, in the content creation space. It doesn't necessarily just have to be social media, just in general. What would be your recommendation or tips to really show up and be authentically you?
I think my recommendation is master your craft, right? Master whatever it is your craft is. My craft is passion, and I'm very passionate about music, sneakers, culture, art. I'm very passionate about that. And when you master that, and when I say master that, I mean no one can out tell you or outdo you that information that you yourself know or possess or have. Once you master that, no one can tell you anything about that specific trait or talent, and you're able to now therefore present it to the world. You may not know how to run the business, you may not know anything about coding, you may not know, but what you do know, you know well. And once you have that, that becomes your superpower. And I say that to say, it's fine to wing it, it's fine to land on luck, but once you master that, you can be able to create a longer lasting career out of that mastery and build on top of it and never stop learning. Because, I just didn't stop at radio. My start and stop wasn't just, oh, okay, I'm at a radio station. And, or when I was in college, I did radio and television production, and I'm like, that's it. I never stopped learning. And the more I began to open Pandora's box of the music business, the more I was like, oh, there's a lot more stuff that's around. But I was able to grow from that because the craft that I mastered was understanding how radio worked in the bigger picture, but also in the microcosm of where radio lives. And once you know that, you're able to navigate anywhere else that you're trying to go. So I would always tell any young content creator, master that craft. And it could be technical, it could be mental, it can be whatever it is, but whatever, obviously, people know themselves what it is that they're good at, but just focus on it. Spend that 10,000 hours, pour that 10,000 hours in. And if you don't know what that means, look up that phrase, 10,000 hours, and you'll understand what that means. Pour into that and it'll help you immensely.
I love this, Sam. I love talking to you. This is always a great conversation, whether we are, my radio days are behind me, but when we used to go and check out concerts together and,
yes,
and doing our radio runs and all
yeah,
that.
We've had some fun, girl.
We sure have. And, a lot of people don't know this. We have the jazz background as well with our parents. So we always connected at that level. So thank you so much for your time today. I know you're crazy busy, breaking records and all that good stuff. And I'm so blessed to have you with me on my podcast. And I'm excited to share your wisdom with the world about how to be a content creator and show up, authentically. There's no formula to this thing. The only formula is to show up and be you. So I love that.
And it's so, and I love that you say that, because it's really, it really is not rocket science. It's not, everybody is figuring out along the way. And guess what? The moment you feel like, oh, you figured it out, something else is going to come. That's why I always say never stop learning, because you know what? Vine was here and gone in 20 seconds, but Vine was the original TikTok. You know, now you talk about, when you talk about content creation, we have to understand where trends are going, and you think short form content, snackable elements that are short, quick, and sweet. That's why songs on radio are a lot shorter. Before, you know, Teddy Pendergrass was doing 7-minute songs. Now you've got, you know, Kodak Black doing 2 minute and 57 seconds of a song. So now it's like, back in the day, 2 minutes was just the intro. Go listen to any Isaac Hayes record. Child, by the time he got into the 3rd minute, he was just hitting the first note. So I say that to say things constantly change, and we have to be able to adapt to those changes. And you have to be able to learn how the industry is changing. You can adapt to those changes, but not change who you are. You know, and that is the most important thing. So I'm glad that that I was able to get on here and, you know, just have this conversation. I'm so proud of you, you know, just the pivoting, because again, back to changing, and then also growing and learning. You came from radio, but you've made this transition into the content space, knowing what it is. It's still the same delivery, because ultimately the constants stay the same. And the constants are, a consumer is always going to consume some form of entertainment, and a creator is always going to create some form of entertainment. And that creator can be television, music, film, art. So you've got a creator creating, a consumer consuming, and we are the points in between with regards to the delivery of that. So we are the conduits of that, from the artist to the creator to the consumer. And for people to, once you understand those things that will never go away, you'll always be able to navigate throughout the various industries.
If I had a mic, it's dropping right now. You know, I'm old school. I'm like, drop the mic, walk off. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to share this information with our content creators, with our team, and also with the up and coming content creators. You have been dropping gems, and I thank you so much for your time today. And
thank you.
That's it, guys.